NASCAR.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larsen, and you're watching the 505 on Racing Show. Welcome to another week of racing and talking about racing. And again, I want to take a moment. I want to thank the folks who helped make our 200th anniversary show very special to me. And WJMyRaceNews.com, Walter Johnston, Marty Himes from the Himes Museum of Racing Nostalgia, and Reverend and Pastor Scott Craniac from the Center Reach Bible Church, also the pastor, the racing chaplain, I should say, of the Racing with Jesus Ministries on Long Island. And for those of you who missed it, you missed a good one. It was two. Actually, we did 2 weeks in a row. You missed a good one. Go into the archives, nravio.com, and check it out. It was a good show. We had some good conversation. And it's always interesting to talk to Marty Himes, because the wealth of knowledge that man has about racing, not only on Long Island, but throughout the country, is just incredible. And again, the stuff that he's accumulated and acquired over the years in his racing museum, as he said in the show, it all started with an old trophy that he brought in, and it just snowballed from there. To sit and talk racing and talk drag racing with Pastor Scott, and how he got involved with oval track racing and becoming the Long Island chaplain through the Long Island, with the Racing with Jesus Ministries. So it was a good 2 weeks. It was a good time. Again, if you missed it, you might want to go into the archives and check it out, because we had some nice discussion. We did it in Studio A, in the living room setting type of thing, den setting, and it was really good. And of course, I want to thank the staff of NASCAR for all their hard work and dealing with me and trying to make that right, and dealing with the people that were in the studio, moving chairs and moving pictures and everything else, and somebody moving it back. But it was good. And again, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you folks, because I come here every Monday night. We talk racing, and sometimes it's about what went on, sometimes it's about what's going on, and sometimes it's about what we'd like to see go on. And I enjoy doing this, and obviously you folks keep coming back, so you enjoy doing this as well. But it was a good time. But anyway, racing season is in full form. It's happening all over the place, all over the United States, and some tracks started early than others, and some tracks just opened up. But the spring hasn't been that good to us here in the Northeast, and I can't speak for the Southeast or the Midwest or the Northwest or the Southwest, because I'm not there, but it's been cold, it's been wet, but you know what? The fans are troopers. The fans wait all winter long. They cannot wait to go racing. They can't wait to sit in the stands and watch the races. They can't wait to go meet up with their favorite drivers, even the drivers and the teams. And I've always said this, there's people that last night are racing, whether it's September or October, that last night, whenever it is, you don't see those people. You say, all right, see you opening day, and keep in touch, and they don't. But then what happens is opening day comes, it's like you just saw them yesterday. And that's what it's all about, the racing family. And we talked about that on the anniversary show, how the racing family, you can beat and bang and push and shove and grind, and the sparks are flying on the racetrack. Even get out of your cars and go toe to toe and have one of those heated discussions, and maybe you might want to bang your head against somebody's helmet, or maybe they're banging you in the head with their helmet. But that stuff happens, but then it's over. And you go during the week and you help them fix their cars, or you go during the week, or you go out to dinner and you hang out. And that's the part of racing that a lot of people don't see, especially from the fans. I call them fence grabbers. The people on the fence, holding on, to the chain link fence and the turns. The fence grabbers. They don't see that part of the racing, and they don't see the Monday through Friday in the race shops trying to make it happen, putting these cars back together, building these cars, what it entails. And that's one of the things that I think we need to stress here, because what you have is nobody's making money in this sport. From the Sprint Cup level down, nobody's really making money here. Especially in the weekly guys. I don't know how some of these classes do it, how they keep coming back week after week, getting a set of tires for $600, $700, $800, and realizing a small payoff, and then something breaks and they got to go to their local parts guy, and the money that is spent just on parts alone, and this is the stuff that's just normal maintenance. That's not the stuff that's broken because somebody put you in the wall, or you got involved in a wreck and you got caught up, or the knuckleheads decide the race is over and they're going to add it to the card tonight, a demolition derby between 2 idiots or 3 idiots or 4 idiots even, and I do call them idiots. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of that happen, especially in the weekly racing series, where the tempers just flare. And don't get me wrong, and I know some of you folks out there know me pretty well. And I was one of those guys. I was one of those guys that, I'd lose my head a little bit. And you learn over time that doesn't solve anything. And I was such a guy. If a guy bumped me the wrong way in a racetrack, I was going to get him back in double. And and it took a lot of years, and it took a big wreck to show me that, let's just ride these races out. Nobody has to win on lap 1. And the last couple of races I had were some extra distance races, and although it was in a truck, I finished. And that's half the battle, finishing. You got to finish it. You got to be there at the end. And then you worry about where you're going to finish. And one of the things I've taught people I've driven for me, or tried to teach, it's a step. Let's make steps. Let's take these baby steps. The first goal is to qualify. Okay, now you've qualified. Now what do you got to do? Now the next goal is to finish the race. Right? You've done that. Now the next goal is maybe pass some people, legitimately pass. You could start 20th in a feature event and through attrition, just riding around, finish 12th because you avoided direction, you hung out, and all that kind of good stuff. But now what you want to do is you want to pass some cars. Now you've passed some cars. Now you want to get a top 10. Now you want to get a top 5, maybe a top 3, and you want to go for that win. And an old-time racer told me, sometimes you got to lose a couple before you win one. And that first win, that first victory that a competitor gets, that driver, he or she remembers that for the rest of their life. That first win. Now, I never experienced that. I never had a win as a driver, and I never had a win as a car runner. At least not a feature event win anyway. But I've been involved with teams that have had multiple wins at just about every level of the sport, the weekly series and touring series, and even in champ karts and go-karts, not only on Long Island but down in New Jersey as well. And it's something that stays with you. And I had a driver drive me one time, and my goal that year is to go for believe it or not, go for the championship. And the driver wanted wins. And I said, there's a list of who won what race, how many races, and who won 110, and who won 97, who won 62, who won 3, who won 2. But in the racing programs, when they list the champions, they list the year and the champion. And it's easier to find your name in that list than it is to find your name in how many wins you got. So we had a little difference of opinion on it. Not that it was a bad difference of opinion, but that driver says, listen, I've tasted winning, and I want to win. And you know what? I thought about that, and I had to respect that, because I never had that. I never had to win. I've been on championship teams, don't get me wrong. But I never tasted a win, and maybe that was our difference. But again, looking back, I raced because somebody told me I couldn't. when I first got involved. And I raced because I wanted to have fun. I wanted to go out and I sat in the grandstand. I wait, I could do what he does. Little did I know that I couldn't. But you go out and you make it happen, and you give it your all. You try your best, and you got people helping you, whether it's sponsors or crew members or just somebody that just made sandwiches so you had something to eat at the racetrack. And that's what's missed. And today, in today's racing environment, you see families. And I wrote an article in a program one time years ago for the Suffolk Association of Figure Eight Racing about families in racing, at least in the figure eight thing here on Long Island. And I was amazed at the family involvement. When I say family, I'm talking sometimes, in some cases, third generation, father, son, grandson, cousins, uncles, brothers, nephews, sisters, nieces, nephews, the family involvement. And I look back on that, and you know what? It's funny, and I say this: time heals most wounds. Time heals most wounds. And when you look at that, it's kind of funny. I can remember the nights going into the garage to work on a car and be ticked off at the world and ticked off at the guy that wrecked me, yet the guy shows up to help me fix it. All right, my car is all done. What do you need? And that's your racing family. And people don't understand that. It took me a long time to learn that, Even in the grandstand, on the fan side, and the other side of the fence, so to speak, that the group that, I can remember going to Riverhead Raceway in 1975, driving there for the first time, it took me forever to get there from Babylon. And I just went to the grandstand, I sat down, and somebody come up to me and says, "You're in my seat." I didn't know there were reserved seats. That's what I said to the person. And the person says to me, "No, I've been sitting in this seat forever. That's my seat. You need to move." I'm going to move. I'm the stranger, so I move. But when you look around at any racetrack, you see the same people sitting in the same seat week after week, year after year, and they just get older and older and older. And because that's, as it's been put to me by somebody, that's what we do. And you know what? I'm not as involved as I used to be, racing-wise, and that's for a bunch of reasons. But, and we'll talk about that one day in a rant, but I was never really, and it came out in the anniversary, I was never really a big race fan per se. I wasn't into modifieds, believe it or not, because I was into figure eights. And when I was a kid growing up, I went to Ice Speedway. They had two divisions, figure eights, modifieds. Show started at 7:30, was over by 11. It was great, and that included heat races. The heat races started like 7:30, and there was so many cars back then, and you just watched the modifieds. I remember when the modifieds would come out, they were so loud. They didn't have mufflers. You could hear them for miles, and I can remember sitting with my grandfather and holding my ears, and it turned out to be that just made it worse, because then when you took your fingers out of your ears, it was just even louder. But you look back then, and I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't a big race fan. Yeah, I liked watching it on Wide World of Sports and watching Richard Petty tear up everybody and win all those races, and Maurice Petty and the Allison gang at Ice Speedway duking it out, and outside the press box. It was a fun time. It was good. But anyway, beautiful for saying NASCAR has done 3 wide for 90% of the race. The last 10% single file. What a joke. Wow. I guess that's because of restricted plate racing. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Talladega and my thoughts on Talladega, one of the places I'd love to go to in the future. But when we come back, we'll talk.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. As you see, there's a person next to me, Kevin Basik, Long Island E for Speed. Welcome. Kevin has come on as our I guess, cameraman, I guess so. Videographer. We'll be traveling to racetracks.
Can't wait for this Saturday. I'm all psyched.
Yeah, we're going to do some traveling, do some interviews, do some filming, some taping, and have some fun. Because that's what it's all about. Racing is about fun. And, you know, somebody once, a wise man once said to me, Joe, when it stops being fun, go do something else. Now, I've been doing it. I've been going to the races semi-religiously. You know, when I say going, I don't go to my local racetrack, but I go to races.
You didn't go last Saturday. We went bowling.
It'll be a long time before I go to that place. But anyway, but I've been doing this, and somebody asked me today, one of my customers came in and said, you know, how long have you been doing this? And I said, I've been doing this. I went to my first race as a kid, 6, 7 years old, in 1965. But I didn't really start going semi-regular until mid-70s, like 73, 74. And then when I got my license, for years, I was like there all the time. And it was good. It was good. I had fun. And you know, you get the memories. And I'm going to talk about that before I get into this Talladega thing. The memories that I look back, and there's races I remember that stand out in my head from Ice Speedway with Jimi Hendrickson, Charlie Dizenbach, you know, beating and banging, you know, coming from the back with the old handicapping system was based on money earned.
Yeah,
you know?
That was good racing back then.
There was great racing back then. And
we all had respect for one another.
Yeah, and I can remember the announcer, Larry Menson, was saying, you know, when the modifieds are lined up on the front stretch for the introductions, because they always did introductions to the cars, I remember him saying, and this is going back to like, you know, 35 years ago, he would say, on that racetrack right now, there's over $250,000 worth of equipment, because the cars back then were around 10 grand. 10 grand, and they had decent purses back then, you know. You can make a living and pay your bills,
yeah,
you know,
right.
Racing. You know, now it's just impossible. You know, you put a field of 20 modifieds on your weekly racetrack. You know, today, And and that's why that's like there's like a couple of $1 million there, $50,000.
Hey, well, we're going on Saturday in Mahoning Valley. They're running for $3,000 to win for a 100 lapper.
Yeah.
And those are mostly the ROC modified guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but it's you look at purses, and I can remember looking at purses from the 70s, and the purses at a lot of the weekly tracks were a lot bigger then than they are today. And I don't understand that because the pit fees to get in are, I can remember paying $5 to get in the pits at ISO. And I remember when it went to $10 and we're like, wow, $10 to get in the pits. But you made the money back, even if you didn't qualify,
Right.
But I don't know. And Cutie Foof is asking about your Z28.
It's doing good. You rode in it. What do you
Rode in
think?
it today. A nice new paint job. It's looking good.
Yeah,
all
look good,
spiffy and shiny.
Take it to the PA Saturday.
But it's just not the same as it was years ago.
Yeah, I remember like the driver introductions. They got into their cars and all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember all those guys, Charlie J. and Mousy Kempster and Gary Winters and Artie Tappan. I can name them all. Teddy Wisnowski. Yeah.
Yeah,
Baraki.
it was different.
Yep.
Eddie Brunhutzel Sr.
Right.
Georgie,
yeah, the old man.
the old guy back
his
in
old
the day.
Mustang he had.
When modifieds were modifieds.
Right, regular car, you just converted over. Took a 57 Chevy chassis or an International Scout chassis, flip the thing upside down, put a cage around it, and go racing.
Tom Baldwin with his Falcon. I remember the 747, the Falcon that he had when I was a kid. And I was like, why does he have that? But back then, you used what you had.
You know what? I think that old Falcon was Georgie Tett's car at one time.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he got it from Georgie Tett. Maybe. I don't know. Can't verify that. All I know is his coupes down south at Ray Everham's museum.
Yeah. But, back in the day. But anyway, Talladega. I watched the ARCA race on Saturday, and I'll tell you what, it was some pretty good racing in there, but what troubled me with the ARCA, and it seems like anytime the ARCA cars are on a super speedway, it's more of a race for the fans because they tear up a lot of stuff. And one of the guys was in a bad wreck, and I was watching, and I was a little concerned. And Brad Smith was his name. Brad Smith. He hit the wall a ton. Brad Smith, he's recovering from injuries sustained in Saturday's ARCA race at Talladega. Smith, 46, from Shelby, Michigan, was in the lead draft, the lead draft, when he hit a spinning car, and it bounced him. I mean, he went airborne, bounced, hit the grass, launched, bounced, and he hit an inside retaining wall a ton.
But Joe, I think he got out of the car himself.
He did, but he had ankle injuries, leg injuries, back injuries. He's recovering. Tough old guy, but it took a while for them to get him. There was fire involved. That was some.
What do you mean, that pit road fire?
No, when he hit the wall, when he was airborne. It must have broke something that caused fire.
Probably an oil line or something.
So, but I look at these ARCA cars and maybe
they're old
it's me.
cup cars.
Yeah, but they don't belong on a super speedway. Because they tear up so many of the cars. You look at the race at Daytona, they tore up all this stuff. They look at Talladega, they tore up all this. Why are none of their other races televised? Because the other races are like normal races.
On short tracks.
Yeah, they're not tearing things up and destroying cars because the advertisers on the TV say people want to see the wrecks. And that's why they put them out there like that. And I'm not one for that. I don't go for the wrecks. I don't. Maybe when I was a kid, that guy crashed. Oh, it was cool, But after you've been in a wreck, wrecks aren't cool. They're just not.
I love the old figure eights doing the wreck. Oh man, you used to have 40 of them out there. Holy Christ!
I remember, and I know I say this every once in a while. I can remember at ISO Speedway, and it wasn't championship day. It was a regular night. I was always in the Consi, always.
Right.
And back then they lined up on the backstretch. They went through 3 and 4. Ray Morturano dropped the green. You went racing. I'm just barely on the racetrack at the ramp. I started 33rd in the Consi.
Wow.
Now they already qualified 20 cars because we started 24. It's at ISO Speedway. They already qualified 20 cars. So there's 2 Consis. I'm 33rd in one of them. So there's another 66 cars that didn't make the show. That's 86 figure eight cars.
Wow.
At ISA Speedway.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And I'm like, and my friend Bill Stockton, a longtime friend and crew chief for my daughter and helped me out over the years. He says to me, Joe, they're taking 2. Why are you bothering?
Get some time.
Because I want to race. I came here to race. So I ran, 20 laps of practice, 10-lap heat race, 10-lap consi, loaded up and went and watched. But I had fun,
Yeah,
I had fun. I remember talking to a guy who was in it for the same thing back in the day, had fun, and then he started winning races and finishing up front, and now he's battling for a point championship, for a point title. And anytime he had a bad night, he'd get out of the car and people would be all over, what happened? What's wrong with the car? And it took the fun out of it for him.
Hey, I remember helping Billy Szymanski, Freddie Lamack, with their figure eight cars. And there was another guy from Port Washington that had a figure eight car that lived, up the road from me and stuff. He used to drive. I think an old Dodge Dart or something like that, 62 Dodge Dart or something like that. He had. It was a white car. I remember that one. He was from Port Washington. Yeah.
And it's funny, you look back and some of the cars that they had then, the 56 Fords, the 57 Chevys,
right.
the Plymouths, and you look back at the cars. The cars had class back then, the figure cars. Even though by mid-season they were all beat and banged and dinged, and some of the guys, I can remember Sammy Atkins.
Oh, yeah, the 47, yeah, right.
His car was immaculate week after week.
Hey, he had a driving school, had to look good. Sammy Atkins from Babylon, no?
Yeah, right down the block from where I grew up. He was like,
is that still there?
No, the driving school's not there. But there was that guy. I remember his cars were immaculate back in there. Andy Rohde, he had those old Plymouths with the fins,
Who was the other guy? The Italian guy with the 2 flags.
Luigi
Terrapecchio. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And you had the American flag and the Italian flag on his roof.
Who was the guy with the 75 with the skunk?
Bobby Sullard.
Oh,
Bobby
wow.
Sullard, man. I'm showing my age.
Oh,
I remember the names.
Me too.
Don't ask me who raced Saturday. I can't tell you, but I can tell you raced 40 years ago.
Right.
But it was the good old days, and
I used to go from the late '60s, early '70s, mid '60s. I think
I didn't go a lot in the '60s, maybe a handful of times. I remember those times very well, but I didn't really start going kind of regular till '73ish, and then once I got my license in '75, I was like a regular. I can remember fighting with my boss to have Saturday nights off and Friday nights to go
to Freeport. Yeah.
Now Freeport, I only went to Freeport once. To race. I went there to watch a few times, but
they let the figure eight guys run with their late model guys.
Well, it was funny.
Pretty cool.
I was at my friend's house. I wasn't, I think I just graduated high school. I was at my friend's house, and some guy was working on his father's car in the driveway. And I said, and my friend's father said to me, "That guy races cars. You might know him." I said, "Oh, yeah, it's Ronnie Gibbs."
Oh.
So, and he was a teacher at West Ballon. So, and he goes, I don't know him. So we're talking, and well, it turns out he raced Freeport and I ran Iceland, And so we got to talking, and he got suspended at
I think
Freeport.
I seen Ronnie Friday night.
Did you?
Out east at the Brickyard.
Oh, okay. But,
yeah. Didn't he run a Charger car too?
His son ran a Charger car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his son, and then his son moved on or moved away.
All right.
But, I look back in that day and remember him getting suspended, and I was going to run his car, and he was going to run the figure eight car, but you had to get a NASCAR license.
Right.
He didn't want to do it, and it never materialized. But I went anyway. I went to Freeport, and I can remember, the fun I had, because I hadn't been to Freeport since the 60s. And
they had those modifieds with the small tires. I didn't really like it.
Yeah, it was kind of
They had those
different.
square top coupes and all that. They weren't like the regular mods with the 16-inch tires.
No,
That still was all right, though.
But, like I said, though, you look at those days and look at the nowadays, and like I said, ARCA, and this ain't a bash, folks, please. You NASCAR spies that call up to NASCAR and say what I said. I'm not bashing. I'm not bashing. I just don't think the ARCA cars should be on a super speedway. Just my opinion. They should be at, mile and a half and under. I think they put on an awesome show there. Awesome. Mile and a half and under. They don't belong on 2.66 miles.
Why, they race at Pocono.
Yeah, but Poconos are totally different. You can go 6 wide down the front stretch.
Right. It
And
looks like
it's flat.
snakes going down, yeah.
And they do. They come off the corner. They come off the forward, and they're going like this.
They're all following, though. Looks like a snake.
For the draft thing. And speaking of draft, and I know we're going to go to a commercial. This somebody said earlier in the chat room, 3x3 for most of the race, a little bit of pushing, a little bit of jockeying, and that was okay to push people. That was okay. As long as you didn't get aggressive. There was a spot you could push on. If you pushed anywhere other than that spot, the guys in the tower were giving you warnings. And we come back, I want to talk about something that I was listening to. I actually had it on my Sprint phone. You can listen to certain things. When we come back, we'll talk about that. Good.
What's up, guys? We're Scared No Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Enravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Enravio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from NRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, back in August last summer, I spent a day at the Heims Museum of Racing Nostalgia talking to some old drivers, old officials, and some folks that, you know, when you go back, it's guys from the day. I was just a kid. And we're going to show one of the clips from that former flag man from Ice of Speedway. And a good buddy, Ray Mortuano. We got a clip from that day. Let's bring it up. Hey, I'm standing with Ray Mortuano. Did I say that right?
That's close.
You know, from Long Island, a lot of time, guys. You know what I mean?
That's it. You got it.
That's all right. Ray, I'll tell you, my first memories of you, I was a little punk-nosed teenage kid at Ice of Speedway, and you were in the flag stand.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time ago.
Well, yeah, it was a long time ago, except for I was a little punk kid when I got into the starter stand. I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And I backed up Johnny Rocco.
Uh-huh.
All right. Dominic Stafford said, "Come here, Goomba, I got a nicer jobber for you."
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history. We went on for years.
Oh, yeah.
25 of them to be exact.
Wow. 25 years in the flag stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of your best memories?
Probably flagging some of the All-Star races, right? And not just at ISO, but traveling and giving out the All-Star helmets and stuff like that. Some of the greatest races went through ISO Speedway. We used to have the Grand National cars there.
Yes, we did back in
We
the
had
60s.
Richard Petty when he drove, right? Wendell Scott. That man could put spit and glue together and make it race.
Yeah.
It was really good, you know? There were so many good times, but all you had to do to have a good time at ISO Speedway was know Larry Mendelson.
That's it.
One of the best promoters in the world.
The guy cared.
One of the smartest men in the world. You know, he said something to me one day, and I look at it today. you want to make money? I says, yeah. He says, spend some, and then you'll make some. And the man was right. The man was right. He knew his stuff, you know.
You got to spend a buck to make
And
some.
an inventive mind, he's the one who invented demolition derby, and you know that.
Yes, I do.
Oh, and about 11 different types of it to boot, you know. So, yeah, it was cool. You know, Iceland, like I said, was a great place. I met the nicest people, and like you know, firsthand, there's no people like race people, and there's no party like a race party, okay? And we've traveled all over the United States, you know,
have.
and we've put on demolition derbies and races and everything else.
Great, thank you so much.
Hey, Joe,
for everything.
it was my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, it's one of the things we talked about during that interview that didn't make the cut. I can remember it was my first time starting on the pole. That was based on money earned. So the guys with the most money started in the back. The guys with the least money, moi, started on the pole, started on the front. So I'm on the pole, and we lined up on the backstretch, and I can remember in the 74 car outside pole was this guy, Bob Holliday. I don't know where he is today, what he's doing today. I mean, you're talking 22, 15, you're talking 37 years ago. And I'm on the pole, and I'm like, this is my shot. I'm going to make the race. There's 25 cars in that heat race. I'm gonna make the feature. Tonight's my night. I'm on the phone. There's no way all these guys are gonna pass me. So we take off. Now we're really in turn 3, because the whole backstretch and part of the turn is the cars. We're really in turn 3. The lights flicker. That means go and raise on the flag stand, like, let's go. So I go. I see the light in turn 4 go green. I punch it out. I go banging through the gears. I go down the front stretch. I look in my mirror. There's nobody like near me. I come out, go into 1. I'm doing my thing. I come off of turn 2, and I'm going down the back stretch. And there's the back of the pack. I'm catching the back of the pack. This is great. This is my night.
Great, very good.
I come around. I go into 3, go into 4. There's Ray standing in the middle of the racetrack on the start-finish line with the yellow flag. I have to stop. So I stop. He comes over. He rips my window net down. He goes, I start this race, not you. I said, Ray, the light went green. I don't care what the light did.
Gotta follow the check of the
I
flag.
didn't throw the green flag. You jump this start one more time. Not only will you not be in the front row, you won't be on this racetrack. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm a kid. I'm like, all right. So now I don't want to jump the start, because I don't want to get thrown off the track. So everybody gets back in order. We go. He
I can
points,
imagine. I wonder if
he
I was there
points,
that night.
He leans over with the flag, goes, okay, I'm not gonna jump. We go down the backstretch, going to 3 and 4.
Yeah, he used to point with the thing like.
The light went green. I'm not going yet. I'm waiting. I see the flag waving. I go, and the guy behind me hits me. I miss shift. The whole field goes past me. I'm trying to get in gear. It's grinding. I ended up last. You know, but I remember talking about it, and he says to me, he goes, I remember. He goes, you remember what I told you? I said, you said that you start the race, not me. He goes, that's right. And I believe that he remembered that, because he has that type of memory. But he was one of the good guys, and what he said, we've been to racetracks all over this country, and you know, some are good, some are great, some out and out are horrible.
Right.
But it's still the same type of thing going on. People busting their hump all week long to go racing, fans rolling their coin so they can get into the grandstand. You know, people working overtime during the week so they can afford to go. It's no different whether it's on Long Island, whether it's in Oregon, Texas, Tennessee, wherever it is. It's the same, and that's something that people just they don't understand. And like I said, it was good. And yeah, I'll tell you what, that was a nice interview that day with Raymond, and you know. But we're going to be doing every show. We're going to show a segment from that. But I believe I have or have access to the entire thing. So you know, we're gonna get that and play it. Maybe not on the show, because we were there. I think we were there like 5 hours.
Yeah, it was a long day.
In that room, and I got there like 10, 11 o'clock or whatever it was. And
long day.
I don't think I came out of that room other than to like eat you know.
They had food?
Oh yeah, there's tons of food.
I was busy talking to Video and Mike.
But I got to tell you, and again, I want to thank Marty Himes for allowing us to come in there and bother his guests. And he said it's not a bother, that's why we're here. And so that was good. And a thank you to all the guys that were on there. And we're going to do this every week. We're going to show a different segment from that. So anyway. So Danica Patrick, word in the street. Danica Patrick will be losing GoDaddy.com as a sponsor in 2016. And that's according to USA Today. GoDaddy.com announced that they will not return to NASCAR after this season. Patrick, who's 33, is in the final year at Stewart-Haas Racing, is sponsorless next year at the time, leaving doubt about her future in the Cup Series. It costs about $16 to $18 million to be a primary sponsor in a Cup car, and that's a lot of money to throw around. And in today's economic times, not a lot of people are going to throw that kind of money on a mid-pack at best driver.
Go back to IndyCar.
Yeah, you know, that's something.
Wasn't that great there either.
You know, you still need to get a sponsor. So, but so they're looking for, you know, Stewart-Haas Racing is looking for a full-time sponsor for Danica for next year, and I'm sure she'll come up with one. I'm sure. I don't know if they're going to foot the whole bill. But you're seeing a lot more of that too, that, you know, that they do 10 races and 5 races and 6 races, or they do the first half and somebody else does the second half. So we'll see what happens with Danica. I wish her well. Danica, I had the opportunity to meet Danica and actually kind of worked with her team at Dover when I worked a nationwide race back a couple of years back. I was there doing a K&N Pro Series race. And
I'd love to see the modifieds go back to Dover.
Oh, that would be awesome. But she didn't like me that weekend. She didn't like me. No. You know, here's what happened. When you're assigned a car for like that day or whatever, and somehow the luck of the draw, whatever, I get Danica. So I have to walk down pit road with their car during qualifying. Then her and her crew chief and me, all the way. Then it's her time to go. While she goes out to do her laps, now I got to go to the other end of pit road to park her when she's done. Because they have to be parked perfect for TV and all that, and I understand that. So she comes in, and I do this, okay, and I'm backing her in, I'm doing this, doing this, and I go like this, stop. She don't stop, she backs into the wall. She gets out yelling at me. She goes, you didn't tell me to stop. I said, what do you think this means? It don't mean stop. So her crew chief and at that day, that weekend was Chocolate Myers. And
I met that guy at Wall Stadium.
He's like, relax, it's okay, there's no damage, whatever, okay. But yeah, I had some fun that weekend. You know, looking back, I had a lot of fun back in the day. And I really do. So I really did have a lot of fun doing the trial, but it's just started to get old, and you know, and NASCAR took a different turn, and different higher-ups and different people who had different ideas and different thoughts, and I respect their thoughts and ideas. But to me, it wasn't intended to be a job. I had a job, you know. So when it became a job where you have a family thing and they're upset because you can't make it, or because, you know, when I first became a touring official, we could go to our series director or tech director and be honest and upfront, one-on-one in an office in a room. And we couldn't do that with the new regime. It was, this is how it is. If you don't like it, and leave your uniforms at the gate.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, you know, it was just one of those things. And what else is going on? This is one of the things, I'll tell you. I'm going to talk about this Tommy Barrett thing real briefly. Keith Rocco will replace Tommy Barrett Jr. in the Hour Motorsports Wheel and Modified Tour car. Rocco's first race was a one-race deal. He was going to race at Stafford, which he did, to replace Barrett. You know, what happened to Tommy Barrett Jr., if you don't know, and I know it's probably old news, after the Thompson event, a couple of days later, I guess it was the race at Thompson, the icebreaker was at the Thompson Motorsports Park in Connecticut on April 12th. On April 17th, Tommy Barrett Jr. was arrested in Willimantic, Connecticut, and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Team owner Chris Auer felt the move to replace him was in the best interest of the team. Now, Rocco who's had 23 Wheeler Modified Tour starts since 2008 with 2 top 5s and 8 top 10s. Will finish the season for Tommy Barger in a Rocco, a good shoe. Does a real nice job. But it brings me to this drug alcohol thing. There's more of it than we want to admit. And I'm not just talking drivers and crew members, I'm talking officials too. And I've met officials at dozens
Look
of
at
tracks.
Jeremy Mayfield. I talked to him, and he says he got a raw deal. I met him down at Turkey Derby. He drove for Dave Brigatti, and
Long
I
Island's
mean,
Dave
he
Brigatti.
didn't do good anyway. I
No.
guess he's not used to running modifieds,
But you know, it's just like with any other thing on when you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. Get caught cheating. I didn't do it. I was afraid. A guy gets caught with an illegal engine at a racetrack. I didn't know about it. I'm just a driver.
Yeah, right.
But this drug thing. He got pulled over by the Connecticut State Police, and he was arrested. And
That should have nothing to do with your racing.
I disagree.
You think so?
I disagree totally. You know why? Because you're in the limelight. You're supposed to be representing a sport that's wholesome.
Well, you apologize. Say, well, I had a little bit too much to drink or whatever. Well,
In this day and age, that doesn't work. Years ago, when we were young, they drove you home.
Yeah, right.
Now it's a big thing. You got mothers against drunk driving. You got students against drunk driving, and in Connecticut, the laws are a little different than here in New York. But it's under the influence of drugs or alcohol until it's proven in a court when they actually come up and charge you. But you know what? I can remember going to Martinsville 25 years ago, being at the old Dutch Inn.
Yeah, I stayed there.
And all the guys there till the sun rose, drinking and drinking. Take a shower and go racing.
Yeah, that's what Bugsy Stevens did. Yeah, I was there with Richie. We were drinking all night, and we're going to go out for practice, and we had a cup of coffee. I remember I have that whole thing on video.
Today, that's just not socially acceptable.
Yeah, right.
It's just not. And did he deserve to lose his ride? I'm thinking so. I think so.
Really?
If there was this guys that drove me, and I haven't had a whole slew of drivers, but anybody that drove for me, one of the things that I didn't allow is we didn't bring beer into the pit area.
Right.
We didn't do any drinking. You want to drink at home? Go drink a keg, lay under the keg and pull the stem back. I don't care. There was no drinking in my garage. There was no drinking in my race shop, and that's just my thing. I'm not into that.
You're not into giving the guy a second chance.
You can have a second
Maybe
chance.
he screwed up once, and now he regrets what he did.
When he pays his debt to society, whether he goes to jail or prison or probation, when he's done and takes his alcohol training class and does the safe driving thing, whatever they call it now for that, then we're good. And he served his penalty and then come back. But in the meantime, this can't. A message has to be sent that you want to play with drugs and alcohol and be a race car driver. You can go race somewhere else, and that's I have zero tolerance for this nonsense. And I can remember when I was a head official at the Long Island racetrack, there was dealers that were walking around making their collections and their deals, and you know what? They have a right to make money too. Don't get me wrong, just not at my racetrack.
Okay.
But anyway, we're going to take a break. We come back, we'll just do the Talladega results, and we'll wrap this up when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the. But if you have this bracelet from nradio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered.
And we're back. Hey, just Talladega, the Xfinity Series was at Talladega. Joey Degano was the winner with Brian Scott second, Austin Dillon third, J.J. Ely fourth, Drake Gaso was fifth, Chris Buescher was sixth, Elliott Sadler seventh, Ty Dillon eighth, Reagan Smith ninth, and Eric Almirola was 10th. In the Cup Series, Dale Earnhardt Jr. popular win with Jimmy Johnson second, Paul Menard third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Juan Truex Jr. fifth, Sam Hornish Jr. was sixth, Ryan Newman seventh, Kevin Harvick was eighth, Denny Hamlin ninth, and Josh Wise 10th. Jeff Gordon, who had the pole at Talladega, finished 31st. Wreckfest. The big one really happened a couple of times. It was definitely a wreckfest. But that's what happened. You know, I watched in one of the instances, and I think it was the ARCA race, where somebody had a run on another car coming up. So he went to the outside. Now they're three wide, and as he went by, they never touched. But the way the air, you could see the car on the inside do this,
Yeah.
And then as he went by, the air was like gone, and he just boom, right turned into the wall. And somebody was saying to me, because when I was on, they said, "How does that happen? What do you mean the air?" I said, "You ever standing on like Main Street in your town and you got out of your car and you're waiting and cars are going by at 40 miles an hour? You feel that
I
push?
felt that on a school bus, like on
Right?
Route 109. We're going to make a left-hand turn. We're in the stop lane there, and car, whatever. You feel the bus shake, like, whoa, what the freak?
So I said, think about it. That's at like 40 miles an hour. This is 200 miles an hour. So you know, it's tough. And I'll tell you what, you know, I would race just about anywhere. I don't think if somebody said you could go race at Talladega tomorrow, I don't think I would.
Too fast.
It is, dude. It's 200 and plus miles, 204 miles an hour.
I'd love to see a modify go on that track, boy.
And the Cup cars have the restrictor plate. I wonder how fast they'd be going without the plate.
Oh my God, probably 250, 300
You take the
miles
Richard
an hour.
Petty Hemi that he ran all those races with in the 60s and the 70s. Now, I'm thinking they'll be like 230, 240 easy.
Probably.
Like Bill Elliott, like when he had the Thunderbird back in '86. What was he? 214 miles an hour.
Yeah, right.
You know, back in the day. But you know, it's just one of those things. But
All right, let's talk about this Saturday, Mahoning Valley.
Mahoning Valley. What's going on in Mahoning? What are they racing?
We got the 100 lapper, 3,000 to win. They got all their divisions, which we'll be filming. They have dirt mods on asphalt. They got late models. They've got like street stocks. And they got the four-cylinder, like little Pinto cars they run there. And like I said, 100 laps for the modified. All the ROC guys will probably be there and stuff. So I expect maybe about 35 months. I guarantee you 35 months.
Now, you're saying 3,000 to win now.
That's what the winner's going home with.
That's what the winner's going home with. And
For 100
that's
laps
such a nice
and around like a donut. The track
Yeah.
is like a donut.
Yeah, I was there.
I love that place.
Well, I guess it was a year and a half ago. And I'll tell you what, I was like, it's a circle.
But they passed three wide there.
Yeah.
And they all got respect for one another and everything else. It's a
I was
great racetrack.
surprised. But I went to that racetrack and I looked.
It's only a little quarter mile.
I'm looking at the racetrack and I'm like, how do you race here? You're always
Constantly
turning.
on the gas. You're on the gas the whole race, all the way around.
I watched Eric Beers, former tour
Oh, yeah,
modified, race winner, there, and I'm like, wow, man, and there was some good racing there.
Good three
racing
wide,
there. Zane Ziner, he was driving the Gary Credit car that
yep.
day, I'm like, wow, and you know what? There were no wrecks.
Nope.
There were no wrecks.
Nope.
It's called respect.
Got that.
You know, it's called respect. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I did back when I was chief steward, and a lot of people thought I was nuts, but it cut down on some of the nonsense. And what I would do is, if you deliberately wreck somebody,
You're gone for the night.
gone
Pack it
for the
on a
night,
trailer.
you didn't come back until you paid for their damage.
It's a good idea.
I called it addition by subtraction,
Good idea.
because you want to race yourself. So you'd go down to the local parts guy, you'd get his, ball joints, his spindles, whatever he needed to make sure. Because if you didn't, you didn't
weren't
race.
raced.
You didn't race. And it cut down on some of that nonsense. And a lot of people, were upset with me because, I'd be throwing people out. But you know what? I throw a guy out, but two guys that come back because they threw that guy out.
All right, let's talk about 2 weeks when you make your debut in a vintage modified.
Vintage modified.
That's going to be another good race.
Woohoo! I'll be driving a vintage modified at the
It's either
Thompson
the coupe,
Motorcycle.
is either the coupe or the Pinto.
I'm excited. I got all my stuff, I got my fire suit ready, my helmet, all my stuff. I'm all excited. I'm going to see if that counts towards my qualification. I don't think it does, though.
But then the week after that, go down a wall, do a story about Matlack, then do some dirt racing and go see Chucky Sawyer at New Egypt.
But I got to thank your brother, though, for giving me the opportunity to do that. And,
Yep.
towing all the way to Thompson from Pennsylvania.
Right, and we'll stop at the shop before we go to Mahoning, and you can see all this stuff.
Yeah, so we're looking forward. So it's I get to strap into the modified. Now, I haven't driven a modified in a lot of years, and it was
You
only
wreck
in
it, you
practice.
bought it.
Yeah, I've been there already. So what are we selling for best offer? The best offer is $100. So here you go. Now.
Well, let's see. One car went for about $20,000. That's the Pinto, and the other one went for about $15,000. That's the coupe.
There you go.
Those are vintage mods.
Well, you know what's funny, and I said this when I raced that truck a couple of years ago, and I ran it 2 or 3 times. That was one of the first times in a long time that I actually drove a car or a race vehicle off the racetrack and not on the back of a hook. I had a season that every week I was being towed off the racetrack. But I got real good at changing, suspension parts because I kept wrecking them. But now it's a whole different thing. You just go out there and do some laps, you don't have to bounce off the walls. You just do laps, and that's what it's all about, doing laps, getting into a rhythm. But anyway.
That'll be good.
We got about a minute left. We're going to wrap up. I want to thank Kevin Basik, the Long Island Need for Speed, and, for coming down tonight. Kevin was updating some equipment for the upcoming stuff, because when I have my debut in the vintage mod at Thompson, I want to make sure that the video is good and the pictures are good. And
We're going to have in-car camera, wall camera. We're going to have
I'm psyched.
A regular announcer doing all the announcements like you're watching Fox Fox
telling
TV.
you, I'm so excited about that day. I can't wait. I cannot wait to that day. I mean, I can wait. I have no choice but to wait.
2 weeks.
It's going to go
16.
fast, and it's all good. The 16th Thompson Motorsport. Then we'll go do some hot laps at Waterford after.
Yeah, on the way home
cars
we'll
on the way
stop
home.
because that was the car that raced at Waterford, and the
Yeah.
driver was a winning driver at Waterford Speedball. So if they let you do hot laps or they let you park it there, it's on the way home anyway.
It's on the way. We got to pass it. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show tonight, for coming down on your busy schedule, listening. Whatever your endeavors bring you this week, I want to see you next Sunday, or next Monday, I believe, here at inradio.com, 505 on. I want to thank, again, everybody for doing this. Tell somebody you love them. God bless you all, and thank you for being a part of this show. Good night, everybody.
Good night.